Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes.
Can you see my screen clearly?
You have not started sharing your screen yet. Okay.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Okay, so good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
You're welcome to this week's FX review with Great White FX for the 12th to 16th of December 2022. So without taking too much of your time, let's get down to our review. So as always, let's see what we have for the fundamental news going into the new week. It's, as you can already see, there are lots of high impact news going into the new week. On Monday, we have GDP for pound. No major US news. But from Tuesday, we have high impact news on USD, FOMC on Wednesday. Thursday, we have employment for Aussie dollar. Then Swiss francs, monetary policy. This news is very important. We need to be very, very much aware of it. And then all through the week, we have I think we have monetary policy for pound and euro on Thursday. We have monetary policy. If you're not talking, you can please put your mic on mute, please. So now let's get down to business. As always, we're going to start with the US NASDAQ, dollar index, Euro USD, GBPUSD, gold, EURGBP, GBPCHF, and pound yen. I hope everybody can still hear me clearly and see my screen.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we're going to start with NASDAQ. So if we look at NASDAQ from the weekly perspective, this pair, its order flow is on the downside, but we have a break above this high here. What I see here is a possibility of a short-term top at 12,122 on the daily. On the weekly is still tilted to the downside. But if we go to the daily, we have a break here. So there's a possibility this may still retrace to feel this imbalance on the daily time frame. So we have this big impulse, and then price is trying to retrace. I believe price may retrace a bit towards this bullish order block before continuing back to the upside. So if we go down to the 4-hour time frame, we would notice that price is making new lows, but it's not making new highs. So I believe the possibility exists that going into the new week, we might see a little bit of a rally. There's this gap here on the 4-hour time frame. I believe price may retrace into this area. If it gets rejected from here, then we might see price sweep further into the fair value gap that I highlighted on the daily, and then possibly into the order block, the bullish order block on the daily. So looking at the S&P,
sir, can you repeat yourself?
I said going into the new week, there's a possibility on Monday that this may rally. You get you would watch the video, there'll be recording will be posted on YouTube, so you can listen to it again on YouTube. So because I don't want this to get too long. So this may rally on Monday, Tuesday into this area. That is if the lows are not swept off first, because if you look at the daily range, this is the nearest low, this is the nearest high on the 4-hour. So either of these, if price sweeps into this area, then that means this will be the drawn liquidity by Wednesday, Thursday. But should it rally first, which I believe it may, given what we have on the weekly. This is a dark cloud. So this may retrace a bit before moving lower. So the next one we're going to look at is the dollar index. So looking at the dollar index from the weekly perspective, we have this down close candle. And why is this down close candle important? Because it was the last down close candle before the rally that broke this high. And let me see. Okay, no major high again, but this was the rally that broke these two swing highs. And if you notice, when price came back into this other block, it shot up. Now price is at that same location now, as where we have price on the weekly time frame. Just like I pointed out last week, I said that there's a possibility we may see a bounce on this if price comes into this area. And you can see this other block has not been taken out. And moreover, if you look to the left, these two down close candles also constitute a bullish order block. So if we go down now into the daily time frame, we can see that the order flow is tilting to the downside. It's moving gradually and gradually to the downside. Now let's go down to the 4-hour. If we look to the 4-hour, price is making lower highs and lower lows. If you put in the annotations, we have that daily fair value gap. There's a daily fair value gap. Let's go back to the daily time frame. Between these 2 points here, and then this down close candle before this rally, that's a bullish order block. See, price ran into it and bounced. So if we look at this on the 4-hour time frame, we can see that where price is now, this is the nearest high, this is the nearest low. So looking at this, there is a possibility that we may see price do what? We may see price gone for this low one more time. There's a possibility. That is provided price does not do this first. But eventually, if my view, if what I believe may happen plays out, price will sweep this low one more time and then rally. So going into Monday, Tuesday, there exists a possibility that this may drop a bit before moving back to the upside. So that's the situation we have. And you know, Wednesday is FOMC. So going into FOMC, most often than not, you start to see a rally on the dollar. So that's why I'm saying this may drop Monday. Then by Wednesday, it might create the low of the week, then rally going into Thursday, Friday. The next one we're going to look at is the Euro USD. Looking at the Euro USD, order flow on this pair is to the upside. Order flow, this last up close candle before this move, there has been, it's still valid. Yes, this order block is still valid on the weekly. Price is still within it. If we go down to the daily, we have this order block here on the daily. You can see that price is still within it. So price is within a weekly bearish order block and a daily bearish order block. So if we go down to the 4-hour time frame, we can see that the order flow on this pair is to the upside. So if we put in our notations, like I said, if the dollar index is going to move to the downside, this probably is going to rally. And if you look, there's this fair value gap on the daily. So price may rally into it Monday, Tuesday, provided it doesn't start dropping first. It may rally into it, because if you look at price, this is the high, this is the low. So price may rally back into this area. If it gets rejected, then price may start moving back down. So for the Euro USD, we might see a bit of a rally Monday going into Wednesday, which is FOMC. Then we might see a move down. But you just need to be very careful. There are lots of high impact news. So we'll just wait and see. The next pair we're going to look at is GBPUSD. Looking at this pair on the weekly, it still seems bullish. It still seems bullish. It has taken liquidity, buy side liquidity here. And the next possible the next area comes in at this weekly fair value gap here. That's the next port of call. If we go down to the daily time frame, we can see that the liquidity above 1.2293, price has taken it out, price has swept it, but there is no close, significant close above it yet. Then if we go down to the 4-hour time frame, so for this pair, if you put in your annotations, this is what you have. This is what you will have on this pair. So I believe this also may rally. There's a balanced price range here from the weekly. Let's go and look for it. So this is it. Notice I talked about this fair value gap on the weekly time frame. So this is a balanced price range. You have one candle up, then fair value gap, one candle down, single pass up, single pass down. So if this is to rally, it may come into this, probably this lower area here first. Because if you go to the daily, there is not much of a significant high. The next liquidity level is probably up here. Although there's something here. So if this should rally, it may spike in a little into here, then start to drop. Provided they don't take out this low first. If they don't take out this low, then there's a possibility this may rally Monday, Tuesday before it continues back to the downside. Hello, can you all still hear me?
Yes.
So the next one we're going to look at is gold. So looking at gold, this down candle, this up candle is a bullish order block on the weekly. Price has taken it out. So if we go down to the daily time frame, we can see that order flow on this pair is to the upside. This bearish order block here has been taken out. Price is not breaking the bullish order blocks. Instead, it's breaking bearish order blocks. So to an extent, order flow on this pair is on the upside. If we go down to the 4-hour time frame, there's something else I wanted to point out. If we look at this pair closely, we'll notice that this is Friday, this is Thursday, this is Wednesday, this is Tuesday, this is Monday. You'll notice that price is within the Monday's range. You notice that price is within Monday's range. The range low was not taken out. So there exists the possibility price may sweep this high going into the new week. So if we go down now to our annotations, this is what we have. So we have an impulse down, and this is looking like a retracement, which may still move a little bit to the upside before moving back down. That's provided price doesn't close above 1810. If it closes above 1810 on the daily, then we might see a higher moving price. So for now, gold is still slightly tilted to the upside, but you should be aware it is very, very close to premium area. So you'll be taking only cautious longs on dips on this pair. And if you look at this pair, the down close candles is supporting price. So until they fail to support price, the bias on gold is still to the upside. Next one we're going to look at is EURGBP. Looking at this pair, I just can't see for this pair. It can go in any direction. It has not closed below this fair value gap. It has not closed below it. And if you look at it on the daily, seems to be in a kind of a range. It seems to be in a kind of a range. If you look at it closely, price is just slightly above this down close candle. Price is just slightly above. It hasn't been able to close above its high, and it hasn't been able to close below the low. So I believe, and you know, we have rate news on pound and euro on Thursday. So I believe this pair may move back down to the downside for one more sweep down before moving back up to the upside. Because if you look at it, he's in a range. So it may sweep 0.8547 without a close below. This will continue back to the upside. And if you look at it, delivery is not very smooth. So you can see weeks to the downside, weeks to the upside. So it's a very ugly price delivery. So this is best to be avoided, or basically, like I always say, this pair is a kind of an indicator of the strength of the euro and GBP. What do I mean? If you're going to trade a pair like GBPUSD or EURUSD, you need to have your eyes on EURGBP. Let me explain. EURGBP was down throughout last, I think Friday. Now, if you look at the GU was down. EURUSD was also down. Now, if you look at GBPUSD rallied before thinking of dropping. But the euro, if you look at the euro didn't even think of rallying that much. It was dropping throughout. Why? Because we had a weak EURGBP. So you need to be very, very much aware of this. So the next pair we're going to look at is GBPCHF. So looking at this pair from, this pair is at a critical area, kind of. It's at a critical area, kind of. There's this fair value gap between this point and this point. Price is rejecting at that point. That's one. From the weekly point, if we go down to the daily, price seems to be in a range. Look at this up close candle. Price is just within its body. Just within its body. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So price has just been within the body of this range candle, of this up close candle for the last 7 days. Then if we go to the week, it's just the same thing. So if we put in our annotations, this is what we have. So if price comes down here, there's a possibility we might have a long situation. Or if it rallies into this area, maybe above 1540, sweeps liquidity there, we might see price move back to the downside. But for now, this pair is in a range. And as you can see, weeks to the downside and the upside. Not a very pleasant price delivery system. So the last but not the least is the pound yen. Before we look at this pair, let's look at the yen basket. That'll give us an overall outlook of what we might be expecting on the yen for next week. So if we look at this pair, you can see that there's a break above this significant high. And we seem to have a breaker. We seem to have a breaker on the weekly time frame. We seem to have a breaker on the weekly time frame, a low, a high, this, and this. Then if we move down to the daily, hello? Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Yeah,
Yes.
I can hear you.
Okay. So looking at this now, if we go down to the daily, we can see that breaker. So this pair technically is bullish. Technically is bullish. Order flow is to the upside. And then if you look at this, we have this bullish order block. Very, very important because this was the last down close candle into this before they broke this high. So we need to note that. So if we look at this, this is ranging. So going into the new week, this may drop to sweep this lows. And if that happens, that will cause yen weakness. If price drops to sweep here, it will cause yen weakness. Because as you can see, it's in a range. So if they intend to move higher, they need to seek sell side liquidity. So we have this here, and we have this fair value gap here. So this may sweep in here and then continue back to the upside. So what you may do is on your yen basket, you just put an alert here, such that if, because this will still move up. So if you are now trading a pair like GBP pound yen, which most likely, if the yen starts to move lower, this is going to rally. It's going to basically rally. Although this pair is in a range, but it's going to basically rally. So should that happen, once the yen pair, the yen basket hits that level I highlighted, that's that bullish order block, you need to be wary of what you're doing on the yen, on the any yen cross, basically. So that's out of the way. We now have an idea that we might expect a slightly bearish yen going into Monday, Tuesday, then probably a rally from Wednesday, given the way the situation we saw on the yen basket. So looking at this, there's a possibility this may still rally. There's a possibility this may still try to rally. If we look at it on the daily, although it still seems to be stuck in a range, if we look at where prices, this is the high and this is the nearest low. So it's closer to this than this, but I believe it will seek this liquidity here. And if you notice, above this liquidity on the daily, there's a fair value gap. There's a fair value gap. So this may sweep 69.02 into this fair value gap and then start moving lower. Because if you put your fib, if you take your fib from this point to this point, price is at equilibrium of this range. So that level, that where that high is deep in premium, slightly in premium. So that might be the draw. Once price picks it, then we might see price cascade lower. Any questions before we call it a night? Because there is no basic trend. You can't say there's a basic trend for now because the year is coming to an end and things might thin down a bit. So you just need to flow with the dynamics of the market. So any questions before we call it a night? Hello? Hello? Hello, can you guys still hear me?
Yes, I can hear
Yes.
you. No question.
So no questions. So in the absence of any questions, I think we're going to call it tonight. So the recording will be posted to YouTube. The link will be posted in your various groups. So I wish everybody a beautiful night's sleep and a blessed and wonderful week ahead. Thank you all for attending.
Good night.